The images of the east wing of the White House being reduced to rubble to make way for a new ballroom were jarring for many Americans. Take a look at this before and after. These images show it all. You have the old structure on the left, and you have the new structure without the east wing there on the right. Some people are questioning whether the iconic building really did need a Chip and Joanna Gaines style demo day. Chip loves the demo day, doesn't he?
He does.
But President Trump isn't the first president to put his personal touch on the People's House. The administration has pointed out that most presidents have made alterations to the building and its grounds. Some of the most noteworthy include Teddy Roosevelt's addition of the West Wing, which is now used by the president and the top staff. Harry Truman's complete gutting of the building's interior, and he added a second-floor balcony, and Richard Nixon's conversion of Franklin Roosevelt's indoor swimming pool to the White House briefing room. So is President Trump's ballroom really that groundbreaking? Someone who knows the ins and outs of the White House and its history is author and presidential historian Alexis Coe. Alexis, I'm so glad that you're here for this discussion, because this is something that we've been talking about really between commercial breaks, and so we want to learn a little bit more about this context. The administration says that this is really a living and breathing building that's been changing with all of these presidencies. Is that an argument that you agree with?
I did see that press conference, and I have heard what they have to say and seen some of the historic images. And there's some crucial context that's missing, which is when Harry Truman gutted the White House, it's because it was structurally unsound. The joke was that it was still standing out of habit. His daughters had come down through the ceiling. Wow. So they're really boys. So a lot of the expansion that you're talking about was to make the residence function in a better way for the family, not for big dinners, balls, weddings almost. What we're seeing are small additions or real necessities. And they've always gone through a process that has not gone through. Even residential owners of homes I know in my 2,500 person village in New York are saying, how has he gotten through this without permitting? And I think that is a definite concern. So while it is true there have been changes made by every president, there is nothing to the scale. Trump's changes will dwarf the White House. That's never been said.
Well, you mentioned that most of these changes in the past have sort of been necessary, especially the Truman one. Trump is arguing that this expansion is necessary to host those very big gatherings, for international relations. What is your take on that?
That seems like an exaggeration to me. And I want to really state that while there have been calls for different changes to the areas where they host, the numbers don't usually swell past 200. And so some updates, a small, modest expansion certainly would have been reasonable, but this isn't anything like that. This is going to hold anywhere from 600 to 900 people. That's not diplomacy. You can't really work a room for the better good of the nation with that kind of number. That is something else entirely. And so the question is, also because this is, I think the reason it's bothering people so much, and this is really across the aisle, is that presidents tend to build libraries and autocrats tend to build ballrooms. One is for the expansion of the mind, learning, reflection, and the other invites applause. And so this is sort of a metaphor for a country right now.
And Alexis, really quickly, because we're running out of time, but the East Wing obviously is historic because it's part of the White House. But how old is it? I mean, the first cornerstone was laid in 1792. The White House was first inhabited in 1800. There was a fire in the War of 1812. So some of it has been rebuilt. Tell us a little bit about the East Wing, if you can, quickly.
I'd love to give you a quick timeline because there is confusion around this. And it's one of my favorite subjects because it goes back to my book, which is about George Washington. He didn't live in the president's house. There were other locations, first New York, then Philadelphia, but he was well aware of what was being built and he was very excited. And then it was razed and burned by the British during the War of 1812. It was then rebuilt. Teddy Roosevelt did expand it to make it more of a working residence. And then we see it sort of grow out, but again, out of necessity, out of modernization, and a reflection of the nation rather than a reflection of the person who is occupying the office. The reason the Washington Monument is unlike any other, it's just an obelisk, there's no face, is because Washington, as the first president, set the precedent and also made it known that the president's a unifying figure. They're not a personalized figure. The nation would be going forward without them.
Alexis Coe, thank you so much for the context and the details. More to come on that.